So this is what's happening today. I'm going to tell you a bit about me, how More Than Mindfulness was born, obviously, and what's in it. We're going to do a little bit around focusing and a couple of anecdotes to tell you. There'll be time for questions. Then I'm going to do 4 focusing experiential exercises, and those of you that are focusers will know them, so they probably won't come as any surprise. And those of you that are new or beginners, there might be a couple of them that you find interesting. All of them I use in the classroom, and right at the end we should have room for questions and a summary. So that's the next slide now, Henry. Oh yeah, just before I began, I just wanted to say this, that because I believe focusing helps you find a way forward, this is what I kind of reckon for most of us. Sometimes life gets hard, and as this little slide here says, it's not always plain sailing. And I found that focusing is a way for me to anchor myself. And I'm sure there's lots of other ways that people do it, but that's for me. So the next slide now, Henry. Okay. I know this may sound corny, and I actually just turned 58, but I know one of my purposes in life is to introduce as many young people as I can to focusing via the More Than Mindfulness program that I've written. I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about my background, and everyone's got a story, and I love that phrase, as old as the hills, because I'm sure for some of you my story might be similar and others of you will have other sorts of stories. Mine is that I grew up in a household where not good things sometimes happened, and we kept that a secret. And although I could be calm and not cry in the middle of the chaos and the not okay stuff that happened in my home, outside of it, I was what we call in Australia a sook, or a crybaby. For the therapists among you, I was underregulated, and I was sometimes a puddle on the floor, even when the situation didn't warrant that. I think once upon a time, one of my counsellors said to me, if someone's reaction to something doesn't appear to be reasonable and they are completely undone, it probably means something is happening underneath. And as we know, that can often go back to family of origin. And that's part of what I think focusing helps you soothe the underneath. So when I discovered focusing in 2009, which of course is relatively recently, it felt like I was coming home, and I knew almost immediately it was going to help me in my life. I'd like to point out here that I've been meditating since I was 18 years of age, since 1978, and I love meditation. And it's certainly my way to get to my still space, or even to get in contact with my spirituality in the widest sense of that word, although I can also do that with focusing. And I've also learnt mindfulness. But for me, it's focusing that has helped me the most in my life as I walk in my world. So the next slide, Henry. So as I said, focusing became my way forward, and it also became my purpose. You see, because I've just told you a little bit about my story, I wanted little girls or boys like me who wouldn't have gone to a counsellor to have someone like me, like them, come into the school and teach them how to soothe themselves when life got bumpy. I believe focusing and mindfulness and the other things in More Than Mindfulness should be systematically taught. We just don't teach young people how to be with their emotions or thoughts, and we certainly don't show them how they always have a felt sense in every situation, good and bad. And we don't tell them that their body has a story to tell. And if they can be with their felt sense with gentleness and curiosity, if they can do that, their body will unfold a way forward. I have heard Jen call it a turning to what is more right, or a forward step, or as you know, a carrying forward. And I love his quote, our body knows how to fill itself in. So just like we know how to breathe in and breathe out, we also know how to love and connect. We might get stuck in our life, but we also get unstuck by allowing our implicit knowing to unfold. And I love that. I love that we can find a way forward. And our body and mind, because it is a body-mind connect, our own process can help us do that. It's one of the things I love in the counselling room when I use focusing with my clients, that it's not about me or my expertise or analysing them or telling them, not that you would as a counsellor, but you know what I mean. If I can help them, if I can point them to their felt sense, then they can unfold their own, what people would know as intuitive wisdom and what we, or Jenlin called implicit knowing. Okay, so all of that, as you can realise, led me to wanting to get focusing into schools. My first version of the program was just called Focusing, and I just couldn't get it in because no one knows focusing. They think it's a bit weird, which probably is in some respects, at least initially. And then the next version was called Chillax, and then it became More Than Mindfulness. The reason that happened was I noticed the growing interest in mindfulness, and I'd obviously learned it, and I'm a meditator, and literally in the middle of the night, I wish I could say it was while I was focusing, this name came to me, More Than Mindfulness. So, Henry, we can move to slide 6. Okay, before I give you a summary of what's in More Than Mindfulness and what's its purpose, there are a couple of things that I wanted to say. What I have found in my own life and in the lives of the people who sit across from me in the counselling room and with the students I coach and with the students I'm with in the More Than Mindfulness program is that we share common human themes. Most people that I have met have one of these that can come and visit them. Sometimes they feel not good enough or not okay. They don't feel lovable, or they feel all bad, or a version of those themes. And in addition to that, and I'm sure that you will agree, most people have an inner critic that beats them up in some way. It's either a mean head in their voice, or it could be physical sensations in their body. It could show itself in anxiety or depression, or it could come in feelings of, everything's going to go wrong. And so as I kind of witnessed that in myself and others, I thought everyone needs ways to self-soothe and to show compassion, both to ourselves and to others. So that is, well, not the main reason, but it's a very big reason as to why I wanted to get More Than Mindfulness into schools. So, Henry, we're up to slide 7 now. Okay. I just wanted to just express this framework, and I'm sure most of you, well, actually I'm not sure most of you, perhaps I'm guessing or I'm imagining most of you will will have this concept. As we walk through our life, we start to explore things, and certainly in a counselling room, you're looking at what people do and what they think and what they feel and what sense they make of all that. And I see that mindfulness and focusing help do that, because mindfulness and focusing are on sort of the edge of conscious and unconscious, or conscious and subconscious thought. And then, of course, I think there's also a meditative or a still space that we can go to. So I see those things as slightly different. So because of that, I'm always interested in getting people, and me too, to notice, because if we notice, we can get awareness. And if we get awareness, we can gain insight. And if we gain insight, we can choose to change or not change. And as we're doing that, we can also make more sense of ourselves and others. And so I think that, as I just said, that focusing and mindfulness and even a deeper meditation can help us do that. Slide 8 now, Henry. Okay, So the purpose of More Than Mindfulness. Well, this was its purpose. I want to build inner resources and resilience. And of course, in Australia, I imagine this word, not the English word, of course, but whatever the equivalent word is in all the people that are here, resilience is what lots of countries and people want to teach their young people, or in fact for adults to have. I also wanted to help people in a school create connections and relationships, and I think focusing in mindfulness and those sorts of things can do that. So in the end, I wanted to teach life skills, as you can see, including focusing, so that students would be able to settle themselves. And the whole idea was to help people to deal with stress and anxiety in helpful ways. So Henry, it's slide 9 now.
I also just wanted to, sorry.
Yeah, no, go.
Say something. This is the next slide. And Catherine was just mentioning that if you move your mouse over Leonie's screen image, you can see some buttons on the top above it. And one of those is to inverse the size. Leonie, you won't see that. You only see 4 of them. But participants, you'll see another one that inverts so that Leonie is big and the slides are small. So you might try that for a viewing experience.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see from this screen, what it includes, and obviously it's called More Than Mindfulness for a reason. And the 2 main reasons is that it's got things that are more than mindfulness, but also because I believe focusing is a more than mindfulness way of being. So I wanted mindfulness to be in it because I worked out that was my way to get it into schools, because in schools here in Australia there's a big push. In fact, in the curriculum, there's now a section in the PDHPE curriculum, there's a section around mindfulness. So in schools, if you want to get into schools, teachers don't want to do extra things. So if you can link it to a piece of curriculum, and so they can tick that box without actually have to doing extra work. So what's in it? So I wanted mindfulness, and that was I really love mindfulness, and it's big or bigger in Australia, and it's a way to get it into the school. But I also wanted other basic foundation concepts like knowing what we value, being intentional. So in the More Than Mindfulness program, there's those things, knowing our values, being intentional. I also wanted to get children and teachers to practice gratefulness. You're probably aware there's a lot of research around gratefulness, and grateful people are more content. So that's in there. I absolutely wanted to teach people how to pause. And I know I've said to principals, if there's only one thing you take away from More Than Mindfulness, take that away, the ability to pause. Of course, I want them to take more than that, but I really do believe in the in pausing and making it a habit. I obviously wanted to teach children and teachers how to be present to others and also to themselves. I wanted to bring some helpful listening and communication skills in. So they do practice listening. There's a lesson on listening, and most of you will be aware of the assertiveness communication skill, when I feel because. So that's also in the program. As you can see on this slide, I wanted to introduce them to a whole array of mindfulness practices. So using breath, using a body scan, using concentrative meditation, loving kindness, and we also do some guided visualizations. And that the teachers, when I leave, could go on and do those things. And as you're probably aware, some people like using breath when they're mindful or meditating, and some people don't. Some people like a mantra, some people like a body scan. So the whole idea was to give the children and the teachers a smorgasbord or a suite of tools or skills, so they could pick the ones that best suited them. Also, of course, loving kindness is in there, because again, there's a lot of research around when we cultivate compassion, and we're going to do an exercise in that in a minute. that it's really, really helpful. It's helpful for people to love themselves better, and when you love yourself better, you love other people better. And actually, just on that, I think you'll be able to, you'll be able to see me. I'm just going to show you, and I might say it again, because if you want, you can email me, and I will send you the cue cards that I've designed that teachers can put up around their classroom. But this is one of the children's favourites that I just made up, but it's a loving kindness meditation. So the children they start just with 1 minute, and they go LOVE for me and others. LOVE for me and mum. And they just do that for a minute. And then in a little year 1 class I was in with 30 children, like just too many children, but anyway, I'm not making up when I say 12 of them, not that I like labelling, but they had some version of ADHD. So really, really active little class. And this would calm them, so that little Johnny wasn't sort of kicking his heel into the back of little Mary's back. And they absolutely, when I asked the children, and as you're probably aware, because this is touch and warmth and it's kind of nurture, so it activates the mammalian part of our brain, and it absolutely soothes us. And the other favourite one is just tracing your fingers really, really slowly. So if you email me, I'll send you the cue cards. You might have use for them, and this is a mindfulness technique, obviously not a focusing technique, and that one is lovely as well. Okay, thanks, Henry. We can go to the next slide. And actually, you can just bring all those up, Henry. I must have just been so clever doing that slide like that. And just while that's coming up, so I wanted to build a holistic program with all the things I've found helpful and my clients have found helpful, and I know the students found helpful. I really do have a mission to change the culture. I want to create a school that pauses. So I'll give you a good example. What would happen in a typical playground is if a child was distressed, a teacher would, in a very compassionate way, walk up and say, oh, Henry, what's wrong? And what I'd love to happen in schools is perhaps what would happen is the teacher would approach the child, or Johnny would approach the teacher, and the teacher would say, perhaps we can pause, Johnny, and perhaps you can look inside, and perhaps you can feel if it's okay to tell me what's happening there in the inside. And in primary schools, I use the term in your inside place. And I don't know if that's a pipe dream of mine, but that's, and not there's anything wrong with asking a child what's wrong, but what if they don't want to tell you? And what if you just started with, perhaps you can pause, and perhaps you can look to your inside place, and if it feels okay, perhaps you can tell me what's there. So, okay, so now we're up to mindfulness. Most of you obviously know mindfulness, but I just thought it's probably as important to define it, and also in terms of that I love it, but also in terms of then what I think focusing does a little bit more of, and they're both very helpful practices. So as you can see on the slide, it's awareness with no judgment. It's being in the here and now. And it's being more aware of yourself and others, and being more compassionate. Most of you probably know John Kabat-Zinn, who's done a lot to bring mindfulness to the world, and that's a quote from him. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So that's mindfulness, and that's our definition. And so what is focusing? So Henry, if we can have the next slide, please. Okay, I've actually got 3 quotes up. So this is the first one from Gendlin, and the next one's from Anne Weiser Cornell, and the last one's from the Focusing Institute. And they say, the same thing in slightly different ways, but I thought we'd start with Jean's. And as you can see there, Focusing is the process in which you make contact with yourself with a special kind of internal bodily awareness in which your body lets you know what the crux of the issue is and the next right step to resolve it. So Henry, if we could have the next one. And this is from Anne Weiser Cornell. Focusing is the process of listening to your body in a gentle, accepting way and hearing the messages that your inner self is sending you. It's a process of honouring the wisdom that you have inside and becoming aware of the subtle level of knowing that speaks to you through your body. And then the next one, Henry. And this is on the Institute's website. Focusing is a simple and natural process for helping your mind listen to the wisdom of your body, giving you direct access to your own inner compass where you know the right direction in your life. Okay, so the next one, Henry. I know most of you know focusing, and a couple people don't, and there's some beginners, and so obviously this Jenlyn's steps are not new to most people. But I did want to say that not that you always teach focusing in this linear way, or not that it has to be this linear, but just a reminder of those are the steps. Now, Jenlyn's first step was clearing a space, then the felt sense, then finding a handle, then resonating, then asking, then receiving. I teach clearing a space as a separate standalone practice. And so I often just start with pausing. That's probably the only difference between how I do it and perhaps Jean would have done it. So if we could have the next slide, Henry. So I just thought it was worth just for a minute, what do the steps do? If we stay with clearing a space, as you're all aware, that's a disidentifying or externalizing method. And I know I use that with clients or students or children when someone's really overwhelmed, and it's lots of things, like it's the fight with their sister and mum yelled at them and dad's gone away and grandma's died and their best friend just told them to go away. So that, you know, it's like a tangled ball of wool, but it's not, you know, it's all different threads. So to me, clearing a space is like pulling threads out and putting them on the outside of you. And I really like it as a standalone practice, but I've come to discover that some people don't. So I teach it as a standalone practice, and then depending on the person's option, it can be done before, or people can just be asked to just pause. As you know, allowing the felt sense to form, that gives us an opportunity to unfold a way forward, and a handle, as you know, describes it. And as people that know focusing, so that's most of you, describing is really important. It's really important that we don't just label, because describing it really helps us carry it forward. Resonating, as you know, is just knowing what feels right and checking that out. You know, is that it? Does that get it? And as you know, oftentimes people will have a felt shift after they've got their handle, or sometimes later on. And of course, asking deepens the connection with the something and ourself, and receiving allows us to step forward. And of course, we also say thank you to our body. So slide 16, Henry, please. I probably should be saying that more often. Sorry, Henry. Okay. So this is what I think makes focusing more than mindfulness, because I think it lets our bodies speak to us. And there's no mindfulness practice, interestingly, apart from a practice called RAIN that was designed by Tara Brach's husband, whose name is Jonathan Faust. I'm pretty sure I've got that right. He has learned focusing. And so he came up with, as people do, and Jean was never precious about this, just came up with a kind of own version of of focusing. And the acronym stands for Recognise, Allow, Investigate, Nurture. And when I first heard it, I thought, oh, that is so close to focusing. And then a bit later on, I discovered that it was, I think he's got a Buddhist background in terms of meditation, and it was his way of bringing that to people. I kind of wished he'd just done focusing, but at any rate, he is introducing people to RAIN. And I don't quite like the word investigate, but anyway, that's it's very good. But there's no other. If we go back to the slide, Henry, there's no other method that I know that where we turn to the something that we find and we ask questions of it, and we do it with a partner, and we sit next to our felt sense with care and curiosity, and we describe that felt sense in great detail. And as I said before, that to me is one of the really important things, that we don't just say, oh, I'm anxious. I mean, as you know, we say something in me, and we might label as anxious, but we say, I'm sensing something in me. It's in my stomach, and it's churning, and it's whirling, and it's pushing, and it's like a, and you know, people pause. It's like I'm pushing a rock up a hill. And then that sort of what Jean called a bodily felt quality, that's what allows someone to unfold the more. And of course, I know, as you know, we've got the big I, or our big U. Anne Weiser Cornell calls it our self in presence. Whatever you want to call it, big I, big U, self in presence. We've got the I, and then we've got the something, and then we can come into relationship with it. And if we describe it in detail, and if we're kind to it, we can ask it questions, and it answers. And we can receive those answers, and often there will be some sort of felt shift, or some sort of turning, or some sort of more rightness or carrying forward. As it says on the bottom of that slide, we get in touch with our intuitive wisdom, or as Jen called it, our implicit knowing. Okay, the next slide, Henry. This is just as an aside, and I know most of you would have seen this quote, but it's such a beautiful quote. And everyone, I think, will know Viktor Frankl. And it's such a, between stimulus and response. Interestingly, I would change that word, not to do Viktor Frankl down, but I would, so I will change it. Between stimulus and reaction, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And I guess I put that in there because that's such a powerful quote for me. And I think it's what pausing gives you, and I think it's what mindfulness gives you, and I think it's what meditation gives you, and I think it's what focusing gives you. So the next slide, please, Henry. Okay, so before we do the exercises, which we're just about to do, I just wanted to tell you a couple of anecdotes. The first one's about a little 9-year-old boy who was focusing on something that wasn't nice, and the next one's on a little kindy boy. So that's a 9-year-old and then a 5-year-old. But we'll just start with the 9-year-old. I probably need to tell you here that in the school there's a rule. Because one of the things that teachers were worried about was disclosure. And so we've got a rule at school, the schools that I'm in, that you never disclose what you're focusing on. You can tell the teacher, you can tell me, you can go to a counsellor, but you never say when you're focusing in the classroom, I just had a fight with Johnny, or mum and dad are getting divorced, or grandma just died. I mean, some of this stuff the school might know about, but when you're focusing, you keep what you're focusing on just to yourself. And of course, as you know, you don't need to tell somebody about it. because you can just hold all of that, whatever that issue is or a concern is in front of you, and your body will give you a felt sense. And the other safety, there's another safety question that after the child has described their felt sense, and I know lots of people do this, the safety question of, is it okay to spend some time with it? And that question is always asked in the classroom. And if the child says no, then the children will come and get me or the teacher when I'm not there, and the session is ended, and the student is just grounded. And obviously, if there's any sort of follow up that the teacher thinks needs to be done, then that would be done. That's only ever happened twice in the schools that I've been in, and now I'm talking about 11 and 12-year-olds, because focusing partnerships, I haven't taught them in a sort of normal way that we know focusing. So we do lots of mindfulness and felt sensing and that sort of stuff. But the 11 and 12-year-olds were actually in, if you like, real focusing partnerships where they were a focuser and a listener. But everybody knew that you don't disclose what you're focusing on, and if you don't want to be with something you find, then you just stop the focusing session and you're grounded. So this was in a year 3 class. So this little boy's 9, and I was demonstrating to the class. That would have been right at the end of our 10 weeks, maybe the 9th week. We've done a whole lot of other, felt sensing and what you like and what you don't like, and drawing on gingerbread men, and all sorts of different things. And this little boy volunteered, and of course he didn't tell me what he was focusing on, but I asked him to hold all of that around that issue and just let all his senses bring in what all that was about, and that his mind and his body would know. And then when he was ready, he might like to tell me what had come. And he said, it's in my tummy, it's red, it's like a rectangle, it's squishy and it's scratchy. And I just remember those words because, of course, focusing, you often get like funny words like that. And I, of course, asked the safety question, and I said, is it okay to spend some time with it? And he said yes. And then I said, perhaps you and I can turn towards it and be with it in a gentle, kind way. And of course, they've already learnt the little exercise we're doing in a minute is one of the ways that I teach them to be kind to themselves. And he said yes, that he could turn towards it with gentleness and kindness. And so he did. And then I invited him to let me know if he wanted to let me know anything more. And he told me that that it had got small, and he held his hand up like this. He said it's got to be this small, and it's pink. And of course, you and I know that that little boy just had a felt shift. And then I said to him, is it okay if we ask it some questions? And he said yes. And I said, how, perhaps, because I always use, I would have used perhaps or maybe, so I would have said, perhaps you can ask it how it wants you and maybe me to be with it. And he said, it wants us to be still. And I said, let's tell it that that's what we'll do. Let's tell it that we're both going to be still. And then I asked one more question of him, which was, perhaps you can see if it's got something to show you or tell you. And you might like to let me know. Anyway, he stayed silent for a bit, and then I said to him, is there anything more you would like to share? And he said no. And I said, that's okay. Let's thank your body for what it's shown you, and let's find a stopping place. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes up, and I want you to feel your feet on the floor, and I want you to feel where you're sitting. And then, of course, in the classroom, there's a bubble put over that little boy, and the students can ask me questions, but they can't ask him. If he wants to share something, of course, he can. So that's a little anecdote from a 9-year-old. And then this one this one is one of my favourites. So this is a kindergarten class. So they're 5-year-olds, and we were just doing something you like and something you don't like, which we're going to do in a minute as well. And that's what your gingerbread person is for. And so we were doing that, and already at 5, children are labelling. So you ask how they are. On the inside, they say it's nice, or it's happy, or it's not nice. And so they were all sitting on the floor in front of me, and I was helping them describe more. So, you know, is it somewhere in your body, and can you describe how that feels, or the sense of it? Has it got a colour? Has it got a shape? And so we were doing that, and the children were, I often say things like, pretend I don't know what nice is, and help me explain what nice is. Like, describe it to me, use your describing words. And then the children will obviously let you know. And so we had been doing this exercise on something you like. So they'd all done a little, like a mini moment of thinking and feeling something they like, and then telling me where it was in their body. So this little boy, he had red curly hair, and this is exactly what he said to me. With his little head on the side, he said, well, Leonie, well, Leonie, well, Leonie, it feels like my heart is glowing up. And that, I don't know if that warms your heart, but it warmed mine. And that little boy at 5 years of age, and I don't know what he was focusing on, because that's the rule. You don't say, because that can be private for you. You can tell the teacher if you like, or your mum or your dad. That little boy, my heart is glowing up. What a brilliant thing we have in focusing. Okay, so Henry, that brings us to our experiential exercises. So in the next slide, I'm just wondering, and that's me being clever again. So that's me with one of my nephew's children, and of course that's how we should be with all our felt senses, which is why that photo's there, just like that. And that could equally be, a father, or a sister, or anyone holding that baby. So Henry, do we want to just pause for a minute to get if there are any questions, or do we want to just go straight into the exercises? What's your feeling?
I would invite some questions.
Yeah.
And we can pause for a minute or so, because sometimes people take some time to write.
Yeah, of course, to write. Yeah. Okay, so let's do that then. Let's just let's pause for a minute while we see if there's any, because I did speak for a while. Actually, 10 minutes more than I planned. So there you go.
I'd like to. Oh wait, there's somebody. So let me say theirs first. So Marianne asks, do you teach the teachers first?
Good question. And actually, I think that must be further on in the slides. So I probably should have said that. My full program is, so I do a professional development day with the teachers, and then the teachers do 10 weeks with me. And so I do a professional day at the beginning and at the end, and then the teachers do 10 weeks. And pretty much I'm teaching them what we're going to have in the classroom. And then I come into the school for 10 weeks, but the teachers are in the classroom with me while I teach. I've got my workbook. There's a workbook. This is for years 3 to 6. So that's sort of 9-year-olds to 12-year-olds. Although this could equally be done in a high school, but I had a lot of trouble getting it into high schools, like just an aside, because there's psychologists in high schools and counsellors, and so they say they've got it all covered. There's not so many psychologists in primary schools. anyway, that's just an aside. So so what happens is it's 10 weeks with the teachers, and they learn all the practices, and then it's 10 weeks with me in the classroom, because when I leave, the teachers get a workbook, which is exactly the same as the children's workbook, except it's got teachers' notes on the left-hand side page, because my dream is that I can go in and teach for 10 weeks. I also like to come back in for 20 more weeks. And sometimes I even think it would be good if I was in for the next year, just so you can get more of a cultural change and embed more of the practices. But so that's how my full program is supposed to work. And then when I leave, the teachers can go on like a normal module. They can go on and teach that. That's the idea. Once you've got the children knowing focusing, they would be able to continue to do that anyway. Yeah, so I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Thanks.
Anything else, Henry?
Yes, we have two related ones. One
Yep.
from Marlis Mayfield asking, with what age groups do you work? That is, beginning at what age? And Barbara Harrington asks, have you worked with preschoolers?
I haven't. Yeah. Okay. So look, I work with anybody. I tried to get it into high school, so that's 12 to 18-year-olds, and I've just been in two high schools, but in a more limited way. And as I said, that's because psychologists, and they often have wellbeing programs, and so they tell you that it's covered, which is fair enough. But they're often psychologists. When they're in the school. Anyway, that's just kind of what happens. I don't do it with preschoolers, although I can't see why you couldn't. The program for the program for kindy to 5 to 7, 8-year-olds is much more organic, and it's I do use art therapy and photos and all that sort of stuff with the older kids, and I haven't really worked out how I can transcribe that into a workbook yet, because it's but I will be able to do that at some stage. So I work from 5, mostly at the moment it's from 5 to 12, and I'm doing a little bit of work with older kids, but I think, and the workbook, apart from the fact that some of the photos might be a little bit more primary school or more, I think that the workbook I've done for 3 to 6 could equally be used. There's no reason for it not to be. You pitch it slightly different because of the age of the children, but it's the stuff that's in there is helpful at whatever age you are. Yeah. So I hope that answers those questions. Yeah.
And by 3 to 6, you mean like year 3, like grade 3 to grade 6, right?
Yeah, grade 3. So that's so grade 3. So the workbook that I've designed for, which is the workbook I've designed. So that's from children who are 8 or 9 up to 12, and so that's a workbook where, as an example, there's a sheet on the 3 things you're grateful for today and the 1 thing you'd like to do better. So there's next time. So there's the worksheet, and then that's not focusing. But when we get to focusing, there's a worksheet, and then there's the teacher's notes. But it's for 8, 9-year-olds to 12-year-olds. But the littler kids, it's much more. It's much more organic. That's the only way I can explain it. Mm-hmm. I have got an outline of what I do. And look, if people are interested and they email me, I'll send you the outline, which actually has a paragraph on each of the weeks that I do. It's from from week 1 to week 10. So yeah.
Cool. And I guess the outline might answer this question, but Becky is asking, how many hours per week do you teach the children and teach the teachers?
So it's just it depends on the school. My preference is to have 45 or 50 minutes. With the teachers, I do an hour. In some schools, they've pushed me to 30 minutes, which is really difficult. It's just not. It's not really enough time. So lots of schools run on 45 or 50-minute cycles, so that tends to be, but if they gave me an hour, I would. And of course, in schools, there's 5 minutes of, kids coming in and settling down. So, you kind of lose a little bit of time sometimes anyway. But yeah, so it's 10 weeks, it's 1 hour, or 45 minutes, 50 minutes for 10 weeks. And then it's the next 20 weeks. So, because that's what I like to do is I just then come in for half an hour. So that's all. Just go back into the classrooms, and that's supposed to. What I'm trying to do there is embed the practices and the habits of pausing, and not just doing focusing, but doing a mindfulness practice or a guided visualization or whatever. So, and you'll see at the end of the slides the sorts of things that the children say when it's that full program. Yeah. Anything else, Henry?
Nina Joy Lawrence is saying, "I want the outline, please, Leonie."
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. If people email me, then I will send you. I'll send you both the cue cards, and I'll send you the outline. It's a paragraph on each thing.
Okay, and I'm gonna put. I just sent Leonie's email into a chat. Hopefully, people can see that.
Oh yeah, and I'm also Leonie at morethanmindfulness.com.au. You've got the Gmail one, which is fine.
Okay.
But I'm also, it doesn't matter, I'll get them both. But yeah, there's also a Leonie at morethanmindfulness.com.au.
There we
go. Yeah, lovely. Okay. All right. So anything else, Henry?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. So if it's kind of funny when you do this, and there's, like, I know you're out there. It's kind of funny when you do this and but as you can see, I'm a good talker anyway. So, but if I was speaking to you, I promise I'd listen as well. Okay. So what I'm going to invite you to do now is I'm actually going to invite you to just put everything down. We're going to do an exercise that I do with the children. Some of you will know it for sure, and some of you it might be the first time. And it's one of the ways that I am trying to help them cultivate compassion. So what I'm going to invite you to do now is to get comfortable on your chair, or, if you're still sitting in bed, if you're, in the places where it's the morning, or if you're on a couch. And I'm just going to invite you to lower or close your eyes. Either lower or close your eyes. And I'd like you to feel your feet on the floor if you're sitting, or your feet and body on the couch or the bed if you're lying. And I'm going to invite you to feel the ground beneath you. Feel where and how you are sitting, and feel how the earth supports you. Almost like you push down and the earth pushes back up. I'm going to invite you to feel the support and know that you are always connected to something more than yourself, a bigger system, the universe, a God, if that works for you. There is always a you and a me and a larger system. Now, what I'm going to invite you to do is just take 3 bigger breaths where you breathe right into your belly. And I'm going to invite you to make the out breath long and slow. And just 2 more of those. Where you breathe in right into your belly, and then you make the out breath longer. And now we're going to do a little visualization. So I'm going to invite you to imagine you're in the bush in Australia, or the forest, or the countryside, and you're feeling completely safe. And then you notice up ahead a little puppy or a kitten, and it's just hiding behind a tree. and it looks hurt or tired, or maybe it's a bit scared, you're not sure. It's just looking at you. It's watchful. What I want you to do now is I want you to imagine how you would be with this little puppy or kitten, how you would help it. I imagine you wouldn't want to scare or startle it. So what would you do? How would you be? What would you be thinking or saying? What would you be feeling? What vibe would you be sending this little puppy or kitten? I'm just going to be quiet now for about 30 seconds while you just stay with that image and notice what you would do, how you would be. We're going to bring this exercise to a close in just a little while. I just want you to take your time, taking in all that you've discovered. When you're ready and in your own time, I want you to bring yourself back into your room. Feel your feet on the ground or on the bed or the couch. Feel how you're sitting. You might like to rub your hands together if that's helpful, or wiggle your toes. Okay, so because, I guess you could write in the chat if you wanted to, but I know from doing that exercise that people are going to say things like, I'd be still, I'd be quiet, I'd drop down low, I'd move slowly, or I wouldn't move at all, I'd make some sort of cooing noise, I'd be gentle, and all those sorts of things. And so, of course, when I do this with the children, and they describe to me what they'd be, how they'd be, and then I say to them, this is how I want you to be whenever you are sitting beside and being with the bothersome things you find on the inside.
Thank you, Leonie. I was wondering if we might ask people to share if they want to.
Oh, yeah, sure, Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Henry. Yep.
That was nice for me too.
Yeah, oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. You've done something like that before, Henry, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was also a couple of questions. One was from Marianne saying, could you show her our faces for 5 seconds? And I would, technically that's possible, but we would need people's approvals. And one way that we've done it in the past is after an exercise, someone can say, I want to share, or I want to share with my video. And then, you can come on and I can take you on and you can sort of show your face and tell her how it was for you. And we have a few exercises coming up too, so it doesn't have to be this one.
Yeah, okay.
And there was another one by Kathy McGuire. Would you like me to read the question? It's probably, it's more related
sure.
to the question section before. So
Yeah.
are you going to do a certification program?
Oh,
Maybe
dear.
for those already certified as focusing professionals? Because I
Yeah.
think people are more likely to pick something up and apply it if they have had some hands-on experience with you.
Yeah, no, well, actually, you know what? It's a lovely question from Kathy, and of course, I have a big dream about this, but I guess at the minute, what I'm trying to do is get focusing into schools, and then I hope I get too busy, and then I will want focusing and mindfulness teachers. You'll have to know focusing and mindfulness probably. Yeah, and then I want, yeah, so that's exactly right. Then that would be great. I'm not quite there yet, Kathy, but it's a lovely, yeah, it's a lovely thing. I would really love that. What I would love is for and for people to do it in their own way. Yeah, that they would then take it into the school. I'm not quite there, but hopefully that will come. Thank you.
Okay, we haven't had more. I would like to share what happened for
Yes,
me. Yeah.
please do. Yeah.
So when I saw that cat in the tree, I've been pretty tired lately, so I was like, I don't have time for you. I'm sorry. And and then the kitty was like, that's okay. I just need you to be like here and not hurt me. Like and just stay
Ah,
and just stand there. That's good enough. And I was like, that's okay. I can do that. And then the kitty sort of came and sort of, rubbed herself on me or himself and was off. Uh, w-
yeah,
that
Henry,
that
how
that was enough.
lovely!
Yeah.
Isn't that the beauty? Isn't that the beauty of yeah, of just doing an exercise like that? So how gorgeous! That's so lovely. Thank you for sharing. That's
Thank you.
beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm glad I did because we've had some more comments now, and Marianne's happy to come in, so I will promote you. Just you don't have to do anything. I'll press a button and you'll be here. Okay, I have to unmute you.
Mhm.
There we are. Hi, Marianne.
Hi. Okay.
Oh, hello. Nice to
Yeah,
see your
hello.
face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it's very simple that I imagined going to this animal in a way that wouldn't disturb it in any way, and then I would be extending my hands, down like under it, and I mean, kind of on the ground, and inviting it to come to me rather than me going to
Ah,
it.
yeah,
So
lovely.
that kind of like not disturbing and inviting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So not disturbing, being low, waiting for it to come to you.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know you know this, Marianne, but that's exactly how I want you and the
Yeah.
children to be with the
Yeah.
things they find.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I think it's a really powerful exercise. Do you do something similar to that? Have you done that
Yeah.
sort of exercise
Yeah. I
before?
actually had an experience of finding a fawn. I mean, I've heard a rustle, so I stopped, and it was a fawn, if you can imagine,
Yeah, yeah,
under
yeah.
under a branch.
Wow.
I backed up because I didn't want, and this is
Yeah.
an urban city,
Wow.
so yeah, I wanted it to be able to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That's lovely. I
Okay.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marianne. I'm going to press the button and you'll be
Okay.
back. There we are. And Nina Joy Lawrence says, I have worked in places where kittens and puppies are not popular. People don't
Yeah.
have pets much in Pakistan and
Yeah.
Afghanistan,
Yep.
so it
Yeah.
would have to be culturally appropriate.
Absolutely. And no, and yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. So yeah, that's a very good comment. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Um,
yeah, okay. And Kathy was, I guess, just replying saying, it is great you already have workbooks. That would help for certification. People like something concrete like that.
yes, that's true too. Thank you. That's very true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. So Henry, are there more questions or should we move on to the next one?
Oh, I was muted. We
Yeah.
can move on.
Okay, all right. So for everybody now, we're going to do, most of you will probably have done this as well, focusing on something you like and something you don't like. And actually, I just realised that I haven't, I didn't put it in your notes, but I can send it to the people that want the script on this as well. This is the one where I'm going to invite you at the end of it to use your gingerbread person. So if you've got your gingerbread person and obviously pens, coloured pencils or textures if you've got them, but otherwise just, a pen or a pencil. Again, I'm going to invite you to lower or close your eyes, whichever feels best for you. I'm going to invite you to take a moment again to come into your body. Just notice your breathing. Just notice your breath going in and out. And allow your attention to sink down into your body, maybe like water sinking into the earth. Now I'm going to invite you to bring to your mind, actually not just your mind, bring to your senses something that you'd really love or like to be doing right now. Maybe it's your favourite thing that you do just for you. I want you to bring to your senses all about that particular thing. Get a sense of what you see you are doing, and what you hear, and what you feel, and what you smell. I'm inviting you to notice your body's reaction. Notice what physically happens. Perhaps you can notice the body feel of that thing, your sensations, the feeling quality. Is it light or heavy? Is it warm or cool? Is it bubbly or still? Is it smooth? I'm inviting you to take some time to be with that. Just take some time to notice how you would describe what you're sensing. And the description might be through describing words. It might come in your body somewhere. It might be an image or a sound or an emotion or a texture. Just take your time and notice what comes to you. And I'm just going to stay quiet for about 30 seconds. Now I'm going to invite you to imagine setting all that aside. So gather it up somehow. Maybe even put it on the outside if that makes sense to you. And this time I want you to bring to your mind and your senses something that irritates you or annoys you. Don't pick a really big thing, maybe just a smaller thing. Bring it to your senses all about that particular thing. Get a sense of what you see when you are doing it, what you hear, what you feel, what you smell. Notice your body's reaction. Notice what physically happens, the bodily feel of that, your sensations, the quality of it. Is it heavy or light? Is it hot or cold? Is it bubbly or still? Is it lumpy? Is it smooth? Is it pushy or pulley? You might also notice if there's a word or an image or a sound or a gesture which seems to capture the whole of how that is for you. Be gentle with yourself. If you find that your body's response is too intense, then allow yourself to just put this aside. However, if it's okay, for about 30 seconds, I'm going to invite you to take some time to be with that. Let's imagine setting all that aside. So gather it up somehow. If you can imagine placing all of that outside of your body. And now I'm going to invite you to let your mind bring back the thing you really like to do. I want you to bring that back. And I want you to let that fill you up. And I want you to notice if it's different from the first time. It may or may not be. Spend some time with that now. Notice how it is in your body. And again, I'm just going to be quiet for about 30 seconds while you just spend some time with that thing you like or love. And now I'm just going to ask you to acknowledge anything which feels unfinished and notice if there's anything you might like to invite to stay with you. Maybe you'd like to have this be with you today. And when you're ready, in your own time, I want you to bring your awareness back into your room. Take your time. Feel your feet on the floor, how you're sitting or lying. And then I'm going to invite you to use your gingerbread man and just let your hand move. There might be words, it might be, art. You don't have to be a good artist, but just on your gingerbread man. Now that your eyes are back open, just writing whatever you like, or drawing or doodling on the gingerbread man. You might like to show on the torso or the gingerbread person's body what the thing you liked, where it was, what it did, how it felt, and then what you didn't like. So I'll just give you obviously some time to do that. So Henry, what do you reckon? We might bring the group back in now? Do you think that's enough time?
Sure. We can ask also for any
Yeah,
responses, or
yeah. If anyone wants it, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
if you want to share your gingerbread man.
Yes,
Leonie,
that's true
I
too.
didn't quite understand how was I supposed to draw both? Was I supposed to draw both on the
Yeah,
same? Yeah.
yeah, exactly right. I just thought that there should have been in the classroom. There would be there would be two
Oh,
gingerbread
okay.
people. So
Okay.
that's my, as the kids say, that's my bad. So
Okay.
yeah, they would have two. They would
Okay.
have two. Yeah, they would
No
have two
problem.
gingerbread people. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, so yep, that's
And we
me.
just
Not
color it in with how it shows up in our bodies.
yeah. So yeah, so what? Yeah, kids are really good at this. So they just oh, actually, as I say that, that's interesting. Some children go and make they give the gingerbread eyes and and a mouth
Oh.
and put shoes on it, and so there
Uh,
are. So they yeah, but lots of them, particularly if you're wandering around the classroom and you just prompt them a little bit, and then yeah, it's amazing what they draw on their gingerbread man. Yeah, or shouldn't call it a man, should I? We've got to be gender neutral. Gingerbread person.
mhm.
Yeah, so they tend to be pretty good at it. And so, interestingly, some children will write like lots of words, and some children it'll just be so they might pick. Of course, I would in the classroom I would say pick the colour that that seems to be the right colour, and so they pick blacks and browns and reds for the thing they don't like. And the other thing that happens is, as we know as focusers, when you're focusing on something, I'm generalising here, but when you're focusing on something you don't like, there's a constriction, and when you're focusing on something you like, there's a filling up. There's a
Mm.
and so you notice that on the pictures. So the thing they like, it's all through their body, including their limbs, and the thing
Mm.
they don't like, it's often throat, chest, stomach,
Mm.
and the colours are different, and
Wow.
yeah, and they do, and yeah, they do things like rainbows across their heart when it's this
Oh.
thing they like, and then it's the thing they don't like. It ends up being much more uglier, I suppose, is probably the
Mm.
right word. But anyway, that's one of the exercises that I do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks for that. I'm kind of curious to
yeah.
see those drawings, and
Yeah.
but
Oh, and actually,
yeah.
they do put them up around the classroom. That's what
Oh.
particularly in a primary school. So yeah, that
Okay.
it does happen. Yeah, yeah.
And Nina Joy Lawrence says she could share, so
Oh,
I will
lovely.
yeah, so I will bring you in,
Yeah.
Nina.
Yep.
Just click the
Okay.
button. And she also said, I love that you just want to spread it out without worrying about people having to be certified before they share it with others. That's community wellness focusing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Hi.
Hi. I
I
was.
saw you.
I'm. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I,
Yep.
I'm Nina Joy Lawrence. But
oh,
anyway,
I'm sorry, Nina.
um, so I was really interested when it's very much like you were saying. The thing I really loved, jumping in the little North Fork of the Santiam River and swimming in the little pools, went through my body like a real, very
Oh,
smooth, all through my limbs and around my head. And the thing I did,
yeah.
uh, irritating end to a massage that was this pressure pointy thing that just drove me bananas. It just jumped all over my skin and in this pointy way, and had some stuff in my face and this tight
Right.
thing in my stomach. So it was just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I really appreciate you sharing that. And it's really interesting, isn't it? I find it interesting that the thing you love is expansive, and yeah, and the thing you don't like is constricted and yeah, irritating, and
Yes.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's lovely. So jumping in a river, or somebody just not doing a very good massage. Yeah. Yes.
And in yet no
Yeah.
way that I didn't want her to. Ooh.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Thank
and
you so much for sharing.
yeah, thank you. And Nina, if I understand correctly, you put both on one gingerbread person,
I did, because
and
that's what I
which
had.
She did.
which makes
Yeah.
me kind of makes sense in that we have both It's kind of a nice image.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I must say though that the children would get two. They would get two. Anyway,
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you,
Thank you.
Nina.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna bring you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And this makes me think too. Jan Winhall in Toronto, her group, they have body cards, and they have sort of a card for every part of themselves, every something in me that they can have cards
Ah,
for. And when something familiar comes up, and there's a card that sort of illustrates it.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. God, there's so many good ideas. I
Yeah.
often think there's all these people out there, you know, doing the same thing in slightly different ways. You know,
Mhm.
like and yeah. Well, I often think that all these wonderful people doing good stuff in slightly different ways. Okay. So, is there any other questions, Henry, or will we move on to the next experiential exercise?
No, we're good to move on. So let's see here. Next one
So that's the next
is.
slide. Yeah, the next slide. Okay. So what I'm actually going to do now, just to give people the heads up, I'm going to actually do a body scan first, and then we're going to clear a space. And so a body scan is typically a mindfulness exercise, but it's also a lovely way to lead into to focusing. Um, and so we're going to, as I say, we're going to do the body scan first, and then we're going to clear a space. And then I'm going to invite you to choose one of the things you've cleared. And we're going to do getting bigger than what's bothering you, which is really, I have to acknowledge Anne Weiser Cornell here. It's my version of what she does. And it's what I think is the front end of focusing. So we don't ask questions. We're not in a partnership. We don't ask questions. We don't receive the answers, but it's the front end. And just to give you the heads up, it's probably going to take, maybe 15 minutes. If at any time you don't feel comfortable or you don't want to go on, I really do invite you just to feel your feet on the floor and take 3 big deep breaths where the out breath is longer than the in breath. Open your eyes back up. I don't imagine this is going to happen, but just in case it does, if at any stage you feel, I use the word in the classroom, if you feel discombobulated, then I want you to do 3 things. To ground yourself, so feet on floor, feel your feet sitting in the chair. I want you to do the 3 breaths. And then I want you to look at something in the room and I want you to describe it to yourself in great detail. So there might be a picture on your wall, or it doesn't really matter what it is. And most of you will know this, but what we're trying to do is ground us to something bigger than ourselves. We're doing the breath work to try and activate our parasympathetic nervous system. But if you're really discombobulated on the inside, then looking out, and if you're ever with anybody who's really bothered, if you get them to look out and describe a tree in great detail or a clock on the wall in great detail, then you actually get them out of their body. It's called present time mindfulness, and so it's a very useful method. As I say, I don't imagine that's going to. But I don't know you, any of you, and so I really want you to take care of yourself. This is a completely, you can pass on this, of course. As in the classroom, you can always pass. Nothing here is compulsory. Okay. So as I say, body scan first, clearing a space, and then we're going to choose one of the things that you've cleared, and we're going to do getting bigger than what's bothering you. So I hope that I hope you're going to enjoy it and get something out of it. Okay. So again, getting comfortable in your chair, lowering or closing your eyes, whatever feels right for you. Just take your time to begin to let the awareness come into your body. Notice how you're sitting on the chair, where your legs and back touch. Notice how those parts touch the chair or the bed or the couch and how it supports you. and how it feels. Now I'm going to invite you to become aware of your feet, how they're touching the ground or the couch or the bed, how they feel. Feel the earth beneath you. Know you are connected and supported by something larger than you. We're going to bring our awareness up through our body. So I'm inviting you to start at your feet, just noticing your feet, noticing any sensations, not doing anything with it, just noticing. You might like to notice your toes and your toenails, maybe the spaces between your toes, the ball of your foot, the arch of your foot, your ankle, maybe that knobbly bit, your heel. Inviting you to bring your awareness to your calves and your shins. Bring your awareness now to your knees, maybe that creasy bit at the back. Bringing your awareness up now to your thighs, both front and back. And again, perhaps noticing where you're touching, whatever you're sitting on. Inviting you now to bring your awareness to your buttocks and your hips, your lower back, your middle back, your upper back. And if we move around to the front, to your stomach, maybe even your belly button, your chest. Maybe you can even notice on the inside your heart and your lungs. You might even notice your heart beating. And just notice the rise and fall of your chest or your belly. Now inviting you to bring your attention to your right and left shoulder. Noticing both shoulders at the same time. Both upper arms, both elbows, both lower arms, your wrists, your hands and fingers, maybe even your fingernails. Now inviting you to bring awareness to your neck and your throat. Notice how your neck supports your head, and please feel free to move if you need to. And now inviting you to bring awareness to your face, to your chin, your cheeks, your lips, maybe even your teeth and your tongue, your nose and your nostrils, your eyes and your eyelids, your eyebrows, your forehead. Oh, and let's not forget our ears. Now bring your attention to your head and your scalp. Maybe you could even notice how your hair hangs on your head. I'm inviting you to notice that you're aware of your body from your head down to your toes, maybe even the outer edges of your body. And now I invite you to take 3 big breaths again, breathing right down into your belly, making sure the out breath is longer than the in breath. And once you've done those 3 breaths, just let your breath return to its normal rhythm. Your body knows how to breathe. And now what I'm going to invite you to do is to follow your breath in to your torso, into the whole area of your throat, your chest, your belly. And you're just going to be there. Let your awareness rest gently inside. And now I'm inviting you to ask this question. Is there anything in the way of me feeling really good? Or maybe this question would be better for you. What are the issues in my life that are bothering me? Or maybe this question. What wants my attention now? And as these things come to your senses, You might like to say hello to them. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is to check what would be the right distance between you and the some things you find. And you might like to imagine setting the whole issue outside of you. Just gather it up any way you like. You might gather it in your hands or imagine putting it in a box, tying it with string. As these things come to you that are bothering you, one by one, just one by one, place them on the outside of you, on the floor in front of you, on the bench beside you, maybe at the edge of the room or outside the room. You might like even to put some things on an island in the middle of a big, big ocean. Your body will know what's right. Sometimes some things might not want to be put aside, and just allow that too. Just do this in any way that feels right for you. Again, I'm going to stay quiet for about 30 seconds or so. Just as you clear the space, all the things that are bothering you, just putting them on the outside at the right distance. And I'm just going to invite you, if it feels right, just to have a fresh look inside and see if anything's changed. It may or it may not have. And sometimes when we look inside, it feels clearer, feels like there's more space. And sometimes when we look inside, we notice that there's maybe even some sort of background feel. And if that's what's happened for you, you might like to see if you can gather that up. Or maybe you can just allow and acknowledge that background feel, whatever feels right for you. Now in the classroom I would stop this now, but we're going to keep going. And of course I'd have a bit more feedback from the group. So again, if you feel you're okay, keep going. If you feel that you need to stop, just look after yourself however you need to. What I'm going to invite you to do, because I'm imagining that you've placed all the things that are bothering you outside of you at the right distance. I'm going to ask you to ask your body what most wants your attention now. And just wait and see. Oftentimes something will say, pick me. And if that doesn't happen, then you just pick one of the issues you put outside. So you're just asking your body, what most wants my attention now? And if nothing comes, just pick one of them. And I'm guessing and hoping that everyone's been able to do that. So we're just going to move on. Most of you will know these words, but this is what I want you to say out loud if you like, or just in your head, depending on where you are. I am sensing something in me. Oh, actually, no, wait a minute. I'm a bit ahead of myself. I apologise. So that thing that you've chosen, I want you to hold that in front of you. And I want you to allow your mind and your body, and your mind and body will know everything that belongs with that issue, the one that you've chosen or the one that's chosen you. And I'm just going to invite you to take a moment to get the felt bodily quality, what we call the felt sense. I want you to describe it to yourself in as much detail as you can. Does it come as a physical sensation? Does it sit in your chest or your throat or your belly or somewhere else? Does it come with an image or a gesture or words or a metaphor? Just allow that felt sense, that bodily felt quality, however it comes, to unfold. As you hold all of that about that issue, that thing, that something. And now I'm going to invite you to say, I am sensing something in me that is, and fill in your description. And then the next words are, I am turning towards it, is something, and I am saying hello. And I am keeping it company in a caring and curious way. I am placing a gentle hand on the place I am feeling it. I am saying, no wonder, that's hard when, and name the thing that has happened. And I'm just going to invite you to wait a moment or two and just notice if anything changes or not. Just allowing and acknowledging and being with the somethings you find in a gentle way. We're going to bring this exercise to a close in the next, minute. You might like to find a stopping place. There might be something you want to leave behind. There might be something you want to take away. In your own time. Just finding that stopping place. Feeling yourself back on the chair or the lounge or the bed. Feeling the earth beneath you, the connection to a larger system. In your own time, opening your eyes back up if it feels right, wiggling your toes or rubbing your hands together. Go gently with yourself as you do this. Okay, Henry. I think when people are ready, if they want to, say anything, and actually something I haven't said before, but I often say, um, there's no wrong or right here. You can, the children are allowed to say they don't like it, or if it didn't work, or all that. Of course, is okay. And in the classroom, when I do clearing a space, they raise their hand when they've cleared the space. They raise their hand and put their hand down so that I know when everybody's cleared the space. Obviously, I can't do that with you. So some of you may have been finished way before way before I was, and some of you would have thought, "Oh, she's going too quickly." um, just to explain, in terms of, I do the body scan because it gets people into their body, which is where I want them to be. It can also really relax people, which can be a good thing and a not good thing. So if somebody is focusing on something that's like heavy duty, that will be a good thing. But if you haven't got too much bothersome, sometimes then you go to clear a space and there's not much there because you're already, pretty relaxed. But and that body scan can be longer. That was a quick one, but you can do a slower one or you can do a quicker one. And obviously you just fit it to how it. That's my script, but when you get it, you'll see I didn't say exactly what's in my script. You can change it up or down any way you like. And of course, I wouldn't do all that all together in the classroom. I would break it up, but I just thought for everybody out there, just to see that all strung together might be useful for you guys. So I'm going to be quiet again for a bit while Henry will see if anybody wants to share or ask any questions, and everything's welcome, including I didn't like it. Or it was too much, or what, you spoke too much, or whatever.
I really liked it.
Oh, well, that's good, Henry. Thank you.
Yeah,
but people are allowed. Yeah, people are allowed to not. That's the thing. So yep. And actually, children are really good at that. When you say that to them, they're and obviously they work out that they're allowed to. Have I didn't like that, they'll say, so, which is good. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can just a little bit share at the beginning. Something new came up. I've never really gotten the hang of clearing the space, although I've tried it many times. But this time it was good. Instead of trying to put them in boxes, I asked them, where they would feel comfortable taking a seat, and they kind of chose which distance they felt comfortable. So some wanted to hide a little bit. They went further. Some were just, in the audience, kind of waiting their turn. Others maybe more urgently wanted to sit closer to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good, Henry. Yeah, I really like that. That there was something about, I don't know if it was my words, but because I did say the right distance, but there was something, so I think I heard you say you normally put them in boxes, but there was something this time. So perhaps that invitation that your body knows the right distance, and that allowed you, certainly with me, like some things won't get off my lap, and there are other things that, I kick them to an island in the middle. I mean, I think you can do whatever whatever you want, but and as you know, not everybody loves clearing a space. I'm assuming there will be people in our group here that don't like it or don't get it or it didn't work or whatever, which is fine. Anne-Wisa Cornell, she doesn't like it. And I don't even think she teaches clearing a space. I might be wrong about that because I know quite a bit about how she teaches, but and she found it got her stuck, like she couldn't get to focusing because she got too stuck in clearing a space.
Right. And I'm just noticing the time now. We have 10 minutes until the end. And did you have a fourth exercise you wanted to?
No, that's it. We're done.
That was it. Okay.
That's it.
So I will. Okay, so I feel at liberty to read these comments. So Kathy McGuire says, I would have liked longer silent pauses between instructions. At least a minute helps me to do the exercise inside myself while giving it to others. Gets me into quote, real time. And of course,
Yeah.
people differ. Jenlin would pause too long for me. You have a
Yeah.
very calming voice and gentle attitude, and much felt so familiar from decades of focusing. I think that is
Yeah.
good, carrying on our history. Wondered about
Yeah.
your teachers. Did I see Neil Friedman's instructions listed somewhere? Maybe you studied with Laurie Rappaport, who worked with him years before.
Yeah. 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 Actually, I do. And I was really, I think when you don't have, I think there would have been more pauses if I could have seen everybody. And so I really do take that comment on board about the need to have more space. And I was also conscious of the time. I think that was the other thing for me here, that the consciousness of the time. But I do take that on board. But yeah, thank you for all those. Thank you for all those
Yeah.
comments.
I,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to make a comment. I think, Kathy, you might be aware of this too, that I'm working with some volunteers to develop a simple app to help people do these exercises so that they can, after every suggestion, that it pauses, and then you would click on your phone for the next suggestion. And I'm always welcoming people who want to collaborate and make exercises that I can record and put into this app.
yeah. No, I mean, I think as you know, Henry, my plan is to do some audio. So yeah, I think that would be good. And that's right, to be able to pause so it suits you is a really good idea. Yeah, because we do need space. I know when I listen to meditations, yeah, sometimes I think, oh, yeah, I need more space. So I really do understand that. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Anything else,
There are a
Henry?
few. I'm going to
Yeah.
jump around in terms of what the topic is, and also some people
Yes.
replied, "Oh, thanks, Susan, for the compliment," and Nina, sorry.
No, no, yeah.
Yes, I'll write to you if you want to collaborate. I'll write to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and also Beatrice Blake said for her, I felt the timing. She says I felt the timing was fine,
Oh, okay.
and yeah. So exactly, everybody's different. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. It is, and you're never gonna. Yeah, you're never gonna get it right. But I do. But people are, and of course, in a partnership, you've got to remember this. I'm doing a group exercise, but in a partnership, you'd be much more aware. And of course, the partner can say go slower, say less, say more. Yeah.
Right.
And of course, that's my ultimate goal is to get the children into partnerships, not just me doing group stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A few more questions. Pashtut, sorry if I'm messing up the name. She says, you said you wouldn't do it all in one time. So
Yeah.
is it too much for one practice with the children? How do you break it up?
Yeah, we would have done a body scan just in a part of a separate session, part of a separate lesson. We would just do clearing a space on its own, and at the end of that, I might say we might later on choose one of those things that you put outside of yourself. So the three things: the body scan would be done separately, the clearing of space would be done separately, and then the getting bigger than what's bothering you. And then actually it might be, particularly with the 11 and 12-year-olds, like you might then you might then do a body scan that leads straight into getting bigger than what's bothering you. So it's not like they're always just done separately. Just to sort of break it up a bit more, and they're done in different sessions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mary Ann Schlenik says, could you use the right distance instruction to help with preventing some kids who don't want to get too relaxed?
I'm not sure I understand that. Right distance for some kids. I'm not sure I actually understand that question.
It sounds maybe like a suggestion, like some kids might be afraid to let everything go. They want to hold on
Yeah.
a little bit, and it makes them feel safer if how things can stay a little bit closer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a very good suggestion. Then, if that's
At least that's
yeah,
how I
yeah,
understand. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mm. And of course, Mary, you can clarify, Marianne. And Anna Zunick says, I wonder how and if the parents are involved in the More Than Mindfulness program.
Oh,
How
yes.
and if the link with home is made.
Mm. Well, in remembering that, although I've been in 5 schools, I've only actually done the way I wanted to do it in once, in like the full program. And the full program, it's an invitation to parents. It's voluntary, obviously. So the teachers did it compulsorily. The children did it compulsory, and then the parents were invited. So I had a morning session at drop off. So as soon as I had an evening session. So there were and that was voluntary. So it was about it's a single stream school. So there were 185 kids, I think. It's a small school, and there were 40 parents that came either the morning or the evening, and a voluntary, and they loved it. They really loved it, and they loved knowing what the children were doing. And they started doing guided visualizations with their kids at bedtime. And there was actually an issue with the morning group when we got to focusing, because the mothers were worried that people would gossip about because with the parents, they actually signed a confidentiality piece of paper that I actually got a lawyer to write, that basically says everything that happens in the room stays in the room. So there were some people that only in the morning session, and when I inquired about what that was about, so they didn't, because the focusing partnerships are voluntary, obviously, with the teachers and with the parents, so you can pass. And there were people that were passing, and I just inquired, and they were worried that they would say something or they would get emotional, and that people would gossip in the playground. And yeah, I mean, we can only offer it. And they were still observers, because I do it in 3s with a partnership. So there's a listener, a focuser, and an observer. And so you can always be the observer if you don't want to be the listener or the focuser, because there's never any compulsion, even for the children. I mean, and the teachers, and certainly the parents. So yeah. And I have done parents on their own, and I've done teachers on their own. So I've done, but yeah, just one school where I've done beginning days. So it'll grow. Well, that's my plan. Any other questions?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say, I find the observation thing works well. We have observation groups here in Montreal,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
gets people introduced.
Yes.
Okay. So Marianne said, okay, we understood her question, and she was just saying that once when she was having an intro, her niece quit because she was getting too relaxed.
Well, okay. Yeah. And I mean, and it does happen. Yeah. And I mean, once you know focusing, you don't tend to need such a big lead in. But when you're teaching someone to be in their body, doing something like a body scan can be helpful. But yeah, that's right. You can also get people to relax. Exactly right. Yeah.
And so
okay.
2 more here.
Yeah.
So one, Sharon Adams says, this was very powerful for me. It has been several years since I've had a focusing partner, and I was just so struck by how loyal those quiet, neglected, hidden orphans, and in brackets, those feelings, can be. Just the slightest bit of acceptance, and they are willing to come forward and bring their gift. I really bittersweet tears. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for sharing. That's to use my little 5-year-old, my heart has glowed up. So thank you for sharing that. That's very beautiful, and very very vulnerable. I really want to honor that. That was lovely. Thank you.
And I don't know if this is appropriate, but if anyone wants help with finding focusing partners, please write to me, and that's what the Institute is here for.
Lovely. That's great to know, Henry.
Only if you want, of course.
Yes.
I could help find somebody.
Your
partner.
Yeah.
And here we have Kathy McGuire saying, brilliant how you established that the children and also the parents would not tell the content of their focusing turn. Really solves a lot of problems about bringing listening, focusing partnerships into settings where people work together too, like businesses, hospitals.
Mm. Yeah, that's probably true. And when I was trying to get it into schools, it was such a bother for teachers and executives, you know, principals, that it's interesting, two bothers that nothing could be disclosed. And the other thing was about, which is really interesting because we know how gentle focusing is, this thing about re-traumatizing, like you'll harm the children. And I have to tell you a funny story because I coach sport. That's one of the other things I do. And nobody's ever asked me and I'm actually a good coach and I'm not mean, but I can be tough. But no one's ever asked me when I've coached, are you going to traumatize the children? And believe me, there's coaches out there that are doing a lot of traumatizing. But I've been asked a couple of times about focusing and whether it would be safe and whether, you know, children would be, and I mean, people don't know it and it seems weird. And so that had to come in about the non-disclosure, which I think is sensible anyway, but I never have got it into schools without that. Yeah. Okay, I think we're very close to time, aren't we?
Sort of.
There's just a few more slides, but I don't know how you want to play this.
Well, I have time personally, and people
There's not very many.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so like they'll take probably 2 minutes to get through.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if people have to leave, that's okay. Thank you for joining us, and for those who can stay, and for those who have to leave, you know, there's a video recording. You'll be able to see the end. But if you want to go, yeah, sure, we can finish.
Yeah. So we're up to slide 21, I think, Henry. Yeah. I just wanted you to see some quotes because this is one of my favorite quotes. This boy is 11 years of age, so I might just let you read that. And then Henry, I might just get you to move to the next slide. I think that would be enough time for people to read that one. They do use the word fixed, which interestingly I don't use. But anyway, these are the real quotes. Because as you know, focusing is not a fixing thing; it's a being thing. I love that second one too. Yeah. Focusing helps you clear your mind and soul.
Oh, this warms me. Oh, these kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And that's that. The second one is also a boy. In fact, yeah, it's also a boy. The top one is a little girl. Henry, you might like to move to the next one. This is actually just those ones were focusing quotes, like focusing comments. These are just on the actual program, More Than Mindfulness. And so we might move to the next one, Henry, conscious of the time, obviously. And this one, do the best program. So, yeah.
Oh, that really keeps you going.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that might be the last one, and I think there's one more slide now. Then, yeah, okay, yeah. So this is the last slide. So just inviting everybody, and you can share if you want or don't. What will you take away from today? And is there anything you want to leave behind? And I often use the 1 to 3 words to describe today. I often do that in the classroom because, like, people will give you sentences or paragraphs or even chapters, and you do want so that if lots of you might use that. That it's not, it's a well-known thing to do. But just asking you just to reflect, and 1 to 3 words to describe today, and maybe something you'll take away and something you'll leave behind.